Past 48 hours, Football Federation Australia been put in the limelight. The Wanderers have been put in the limelight by this front page on the Sunday Telegraph, and this article in particular in News Corp papers right around the country. Banned, a name and shame file. 198 people banned from A-League matches. Obviously pinpoints plenty from the Western Sydney Wanderers. Rebecca Wilson, you were the author of the article that has been of much debate. First question tonight, do you stand by it?
Absolutely. It's a legitimate document. I believe that, as David Riccio said last night, a colleague, he said that was in the public interest, and it's a document that outlines essentially the 198 offenders who've been banned by the FFA across 10 A-League clubs, and more than a third of them are Western Sydney Wanderers fans. And some of the level of offences are serious. It's not just a fray. There's violence, there's using flares, and there's a huge, basically, one policeman described it to me as pack animal mentality, and that's what the whole of this shame file, if you like, reflects.
Are you surprised by the response that's come, because particularly from the football world?
You know what, I'd like to say yes, but I'm not, because all they do, I mean, the stuff that I've received an email every 25 seconds probably in the last 2 days. They get on their chat rooms, they decide that they're going to target the messenger, they're going to shoot the messenger, and with their vileness and their bile and their vulgar language and their threats, they basically underline why there is a shame file. They completely underline why the FFA has got a cultural problem that it needs to fix, because there's 19 banned players in rugby league, so please stop comparing with rugby league. There's 9 in cricket and there's 200.
Because a common argument since this article was published, and John Cosmina brought it up on the program, is going down those lines.
And his words were disappointing. As a leader of soccer, his words were disappointing last night. Is she running an agenda? No. What agenda is it when you get hold of a document that is going to be at every gate of every A-League stadium in Australia, that every policeman who's running an operation at any of those grounds will have in his hands to stop those people coming back in? And a lot of them have got green lines through their names already. The green line means they've already been back in, even though they've been banned for up to 20 years.
Some of the dialogue some of the talk that I heard today or in the last couple of days is that there's been no right of appeal for some of those people on that 198 ban list. Now, do you agree with that? Would you concede that some people are on there that shouldn't have been and have been named and shamed when they shouldn't have been? Is that I'm not talking about agenda or whether, taking the emotion out of it.
No,
but, for me, from a logical point of view, like if my name's on there and I've been turfed for, because of some overbearing security guard, and I'm on that list and I've been, published in your story in the Sunday Telegraph, I'll be filthy too.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. But if you have a look, if you have a look at the file, you'll see that there's very few people who've been given 6 weeks. Most of them are 5 years, 10 years, 20-year bans. Now, you can talk about rights of appeal and all of those sort of things, but there's a reason why the police put together this file, and that is that these are the worst offenders. And look, the Commissioner of Police in New South Wales, makes it very clear that they are a reflection of a larger number of people. And I just want to give you an example here, and you can talk about your own rights and all these sort of things, and that's the whole thing. We've got privacy rights. Well, you know what? You've got no privacy rights when you decide that instead of actually having the violence within the stadium itself, the new MO of these people is to go within a 4 or 5 block radius of your local derby stadium, like you've got at Allianz Stadium or you've got down in Melbourne, and you viciously assault rival fans. Now, there were 6 of those vicious assaults at the last local derby. There was a 24-hour lockdown before the last local derby between the Wanderers and Sydney FC at Allianz Stadium. That is unheard of in Australia.
Well, I found that to be the most concerning part.
It is.
They're colluding with actual security staff to keep flares and that in the game.
In the plumbing.
Look, there's no doubt that there's been quite a lot of angst between the police force, the New South Wales police force, and the Wanderers fans because of some of the guidelines and some of the rules and, a lot of the way that they clamp down on the Wanderers at their home games at Pertex Stadium. So there's been this, this agitation between the Wanderers, who have sort of sided with their fans, as you can understand, and the New South Wales police force for some time.
That's right.
Look, the thing that concerned me, Beck, was that that you quoted the police commissioner in the story, so it's not a beater.
No.
You know, as I said, I do understand if I'm on that list and I have no course of appeal for why I'm on that list and I've been named, then I can see why they would be upset. But I think some of the social media backlash, a lot of it's got to do with your interview with Alan Jones yesterday.
Well, yeah, and again...
Let's go to that, because you and Alan were speaking on 2GB, Macquarie Radio, yesterday morning, and his introduction to you, he led in coming off the back saying, is this, and this, I'm paraphrasing here, is this a situation like we're seeing with the Paris terror attacks where authorities aren't doing what they should be?
Where he said there was a lack of leadership.
Yes, and if you listen to that interview, and I've listened to it a few times, there is no comparison with what is happening in terrorism, but that has been used very much so. And there is a belief out there in the football community, it's very clear that they believe, one, there was a comparison between that and terrorism, and two, that this is a personal vendetta.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. And the whole thing is that if you have a look at social media, that's one of the, they basically shot every single messenger. They've shot me, they've tried to undermine me personally. I've had death threats today. I've had some seriously bad stuff sent to me today that it actually, it's pretty unusual, but I cried today because I thought, if this is what we have in Australia in sport, then we're in deep trouble. If they believe that, they haven't got a problem. It's the whole thing is we haven't got the problem. And that's what's happened at the Western Sydney Wanderers. I know someone who went to the launch, a senior person went to the launch of the Western Sydney Wanderers earlier this year, and a genuinely a passionate sports fan who was actively involved in helping the Wanderers become creative. I'm not going to name him. He left early because he said it was such an uneasy, bad feeling in the place because he felt nervous. And it's now this sort of tacit approval that's been given by, because of the brand is so powerful, it's almost a tacit approval that's been given by the FFA for this sort of feral behaviour to go on social media. Now, this threatened walkout on the weekend is aimed at finding the leak of the document, not, gee, look at this document. We've got a problem that we need to sit down and sort out like they did at the Bulldogs. They sat down at the Bulldogs and said, we're the problem. Let's sort it out. And they have.
Yeah, but I remember the Bulldogs. That's because they threatened to pull their...
That's right.
They're going to take competition points off.
And David Gallop had security outside his house for 3 weeks as a result of that. Now, David Gallop is I think almost knows the magnitude of the problem because he's unwilling to actually come out and say, come on guys, let's bang heads here and sort this out.
From a Wanderers point of view now, we've all been watching that club grow, and that is a fantastic club.
That's a great story.
But there's obviously a feeling that they've been all tarred. Like that club has been the best thing to happen in the A-League for the last couple of years, but because of your story, because of what you've written, there's a sense from the Wanderers fans, the ones who aren't lunatics, who don't let off friends, who are there, who take their family, who go there week in, week out, that they've been bunched into the lunatic fringe.
I know, but these are the same people who say that the police are racist and they're not. The police are trying to do their jobs. There's more than a third of that document. And, again, let's come back to this. Pare it back. Let's peel back the layers. And the facts are more of a third of that document, more than a third of the 198 are Wanderers fans. So there is a problem that's bigger at the Wanderers than it is somewhere else.
So why is the FFA, and from what I've seen, the only sort of statement they've made was one line this week saying they reserve the right to have strong banning processes and robust security planning in order to keep football's true fans safe. And that's it. That's all we've heard. So why aren't they commenting on this?
Well, I think because I think they're genuinely concerned that there could be more. Like we had trouble this weekend, and I think they're concerned about that. I also think that they don't want to get offside a brand and a club that has become invaluable to the FFA. And can we all just talk about today's crowd results? Everyone's talking about the fact that it's because there's boring football or there's too many distant fouls or whatever. It's because people don't feel safe at a lot of A-League games, and that's why the crowd is down. FFA clubs are going broke. And, that's why, again, you've got to look at your culture. And, cricket had to do it. Everyone had to do it. The EPL, they've now got facial recognition technology. But as Andrew Scipione, the commissioner, said to me, we don't want to get to a situation in Australia where we sit in 2 separate cages at the football. It should be a privilege and a joy to go to footy.
This weekend, and this is what we've been referring to about the boycotts, the Melbourne Victory's North Terrace and the Western Sydney Wanderers Red and Black Block, they're on their Facebook pages today, have been organising a situation where at some stage during their games this weekend, so you've got the Melbourne Victory taking on Adelaide United on Saturday at Docklands, the Wanderers taking on the Mariners on the Central Coast in Gosford. At some stage during that game, their group of fans are going to walk out of the stadium in protest about the lack of action from Football Federation in terms of trying to get a resolution to this whole
because of the lack of action they're saying from the FFA over finding out who leaked the document. Like, get with the program. Get with the program. There is a document. There are 198 banned fans. It's not a beat-up document. Like, get over yourselves and come to terms with the fact you've got 198 of you who are bad eggs. You know.
Do you feel threatened when you go to A-League games?
I stopped going.
Doesn't go.
Absolutely, I do.
I've been at a few A-League games. I've never felt anything but completely safe there.
No, well,
I have to say,
you and I are in a different situation, really, because they consider that I'm public enemy number one. They don't do that for you.
I'm loved by everybody, so that,
You are, Andrew. Yes.
But honestly, I've been to plenty of rugby league games where I've sat in the outer and I felt worried there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, and
I remember
we don't want to feel like that.
I remember when there's all that Bulldogs drama was going on 10 years ago.
Terrible.
I remember I went into the colour store and sat on the hill and I sat down and got off the drugs straight away. I've taken my nephews to the outer at NRL games the last few years and going, holy hell, and it's, you know, I've had to bite my tongue because of the language that's come out, some of the, you know, the rubbish that's going on. So
let's have a look. If this was rugby league, if there was a 42-page dossier with 198 faces of rugby league fans, it would have been all over the front page months ago and would have lasted for months. These soccer people don't realise how good they have it, because all of a sudden someone has a look at this and goes, whoa, you know, this is happening in Australia. Beautiful, gorgeous, happy, friendly Australia. And that makes my skin crawl, and it makes me so upset on behalf of genuinely good people who, you know, there are the occasional ones who have emailed me, and they are genuinely good people. But, you know, the hate that spews out of these people just wants to make you cry. You just can't believe it. And seriously, you know, I genuinely believe that they're going to get to a point with these local derbies where they're going to have to shut them down. Six assaults within a 4-block radius of this football stadium on a Saturday night in a gentrified area of Sydney. I'm sorry, you've got a problem. You've got a big problem.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the FFA does handle this situation on the weekend, because it does seem that there could potentially be thousands of football fans walking out of stadiums to make a point at some stage. So,
what if they get a pass out?
Well, I don't think they'll be coming back. I feel sorry
You could go in the Paperbill to one of those games.
I feel sorry for the players to be out there. Can I just say, though, I've seen some of the stuff that has been written to Rebecca, whether it be on social media or via email, and if you've got a problem, if you've got an issue with someone, and even if it's personal, just go about it with a little bit of class. Just because, remember, we're all humans. Just be a little bit more conscious of what you're saying, because it can hurt, not just the person you're writing it to, but people around them, because some of it is absolute filth. And I wanted to read out some tweets tonight, but I'm not going to, because it's just not worth it. Stay with us here on Sports Night. Lots more to come.